So good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Donny Chaingang with me, Matt Payne. A very tired Matt Payne, it has to be said. Had a very, very busy weekend after the last Chaingang overnight drive down to Cornwall. And it was sunny Cornwall for at least most of the days, all bar one, where I got to meet lots of Donny Chaingang riders. I've got to say, brilliant performances, great rides, inspirational rides from lots of the Donny Chaingang riders, and I've got to say a big thank you to everyone who came up and said hi. Apologies if I couldn't always talk, but that's the perils of having to be talking onto the mic at the same time. Brilliant weekend, loads of great racing, and so good to be back doing real life events. But of course, onwards goes the Chaingang, and the Chaingang is still here. It's still going to keep ongoing, and we're still going to be here for the whole of the summer. We've basically got loads lined up, and this week we've got France. Why not? We haven't been to France for a while. In fact, on one of this week's rides on Thursday, we've not actually been there since the 7th of January, and that shows you how long it is. It's actually only the fourth time we'll be going around RGV. However, tonight it's Casse-Pattes, a favourite of mine, and definitely a favourite of the man in the yellow beacon. It is the one and only Russ Downing. Russ, how are you doing?
I'm good, mate. I'm just turning Cheese FM down.
Well, yeah, Cheesy FM coming to you live from the Pain Cave, or soon to be Pain Cave, I'm sure. So we've had a busy weekend, loads of people getting lots of riding in because the weather's been amazing. And I presume you've been out on the bike in this glorious weather and tops up the suntan.
Yeah, got a couple of decent days out. Saturday went out on the Rotherham Saturday Chaingang, so that was good. And then I think Sunday I nipped out, but yeah, been busy, but not as busy as you, mate.
Well, I've been putting some galactic mileage in down to Cornwall and back, and although I might have had an overdosing of Cornish pasties, I must admit I didn't actually manage to get down to the seaside, but I did take the challenge to ride on some of the trails. And if you ever go down, take a mountain bike, go ride at Woody's Bike Park. I mean, honestly, it makes even the worst rider like me feel $1 million because of the way they've built the trails. Honestly, I was trying to keep it rubber side down and keep it on the floor. None of that. I was airborne so many times on the way down there. It was brilliant and great to be back doing big events outdoors. But of course, uncertainty about what's going to happen and how it's going to unlock. The only certain thing in this world seems to be at the moment the Donny Chaingang's on a Tuesday and a Thursday.
Yeah, that's going nowhere, is it? No one put no spanners in those flywheels or wherever they're putting them spanners.
That's for sure. That's for sure. And we go to Casse-Pattes, which is a firm favourite of yours, and I must admit, it's a fair favourite of mine, except when I'm having to ride or race it, because that last downhill, whilst I'm big and I can put some power out, it just seems to go on forever when you're trying to chase down riders.
Yeah, I think it's good in the wheels or slightly in the wheels, but if you've attacked on the climb and you're trying to stay away, then it's like, it's the slow boat to China. And then, if you're in no man's land, it's like, oh. So it's the same as a real downhill. If you've gone up it, you catch yourself in no man's land, you've got to push some watts to get anywhere. And yeah, it's a great little. I think it probably is one of my favourites in France for sure.
Yep. Definitely. So we are going to be heading out and around. It's 2 laps, and the smaller numbers have been taking their toll in terms of how the group stays together, because it's very hard, isn't it, to get a group behind big enough to chase effectively if you do get distance. So people really do need to pay attention if they're at the back of the group to stay with the pack, because there's not as many people to go back and help out.
Yeah, there's nowhere to go, At one time of day, it was like you hang on, and there was always a group behind you, with somebody, the red beacon. But the red beacon's kind of staying in with the pack a bit more as it's shorter numbers. So, yeah, it's making it a bit more tricky. But I think we're all behaving a bit more at the front, wanting as many people to get over the first half of the ride. So we'll look after each other, we always do. But it's slightly squeeze on if you're struggling, and we can see you on screen now. When there's over 100, it's like we can't see who's doing what, but we can see someone who's just slightly off the back, so we can police it a lot easier now, which is kind of nice.
It is, and it's good to watch because we know exactly where everybody is, whether on the front, the back, or in the middle. And of course, we've got our Red Beacon, who's going to be rolling around the 2.5 watts per kilo mark, and that's Chris Darby.
Yeah, just checked in with him. He's all good. He's in the pen. He's got his red thing. He's typing away on the screen. So yeah, he's all good, and he's looking forward to it.
Excellent. And the Red Beacon role is a really rewarding one because you do get to help people out, and that really does show, doesn't it? It's all about bringing people on, and the improvements that we're seeing with people is massive, and it's translating to real life. And did you discover that this weekend?
From what I see on the social media, yeah, and I was actually going all right myself. It's not about me anymore; it's about the members. But see some really great comments down at the mine by where you were. They're loving it. But yeah, I got a bit of a ribbon on the Saturday gang saying, "Oh, I didn't realise you rode out on the road anymore." I said, "Yeah, shut your mouth, will you?" So there was only me and one of the UK pros going through. So still got it, mate. That's all I can say.
Let the legs do the talking. That's how we like it. Well, we're going to get on with the chain gang. We're going to let you get back and type in the message board. Really busy already. So going to be really interesting with those smaller numbers. Good luck, Russ.
Cheers, mate. Have a good one.
It's great to catch up with Russ, who had a great weekend, and stick it to the people who don't believe that riding on a turbo is real riding. Which, you know what, it makes people super quick, and we're seeing that translating. And there are myriad of stories from the weekend, including those about people who have been inspired, got their mojo back, riding around on the chain gang. So let's show you where the chain gang's going tonight. We are heading into France, and this is a nice warm-up because it's a couple of weeks and we're going to be starting the Tour de France, and we will be looking for some themed weeks there. I have my evil plans already being hatched in terms of making you all suffer. Russie's tried to avoid doing all the things that I keep on trying to throw forward, like making things big, evil and nasty. He's a much nicer person than me, really, even though if you poke him, he will go early on the chain gang, as we saw last week. So we're heading out. It's 2 full laps. We come out from the start. We head out on the flatlands. There's 16 kilometres pretty much of flat until we start heading inland up alongside the river. When we do, we go through the pavé sprint and on to the aqueduct climb, mini climb, 400 metres, and not a lot of climbing, but it does split the pack before heading round on the flatlands again to the bigger climb, the Petite KOM. And it's only called Petite because we have the Von Top in France, which is the 21k drag fest that is the climb to the very top of the mountain, the replica of the Mont Ventoux. So the Petite KOM is pretty tough. Now, each lap has 145 metres of ascent, and that means 290 metres in total. So it is one of the hillier routes in France, other than going up to the Von Top or going up to Lorraine. And we do finish with plenty of warm down time. So particularly tonight when it's warm, make sure, guys, you spin down. Plenty of fluids on board. The beacons are there for you. So yellow beacon at the front, Russ Downing. Red beacon, Chris Darby. And remember, this is what it looks like. Masses of flat. Basically, you start off near the bottom, directly above the elevation word there in the orange here on the Velo Viewer graphic. And we've got to say a massive thank you to Velo Viewer and to Swift Hacks and the Swift Insider, all of which are creating this fantastic ride and giving us all of the insider info. And remember, we then get that out to you in the form of the show. And of course, if you're a member of the DCG gang, the Donny Chaingang Supporters Club, you also get the write-up of the route, the distances, where the climbs are likely to go, the Zwift Insider links, the links to the previous coverage of the previous event, the previous time that we were here on the ride. We also make sure that we send you all of the details in terms of those links to your inbox, which is ultra critical as well. And of course, we make sure you get loads of discounts from our fantastic partners and suppliers, everything from beer and coffee right the way through to sustainable riding gear, and of course chamois cream and so on. Pretty much anything you could want to get on the bike. So The profile showing the flatlands, the aqueduct climb is at 30k, as you can see, quite small in comparison to the petite KOM, and then we have that massive run down at the finish. The gradient's not too bad, and the group should stay together for the start of the ride. And I think Russ just trying to hold pretty much everyone together as they head out from the start. I think pretty much everybody away. So as we can just see on our screens, the riders over there heading out. The group pretty much starting to form around Russ, our yellow beacon. So let's dive in live from Zwift, live from the Donny Chaingang here on the Downing Cycling YouTube channel with me, Matt Payne. So heading down here with Russ on his way down into the finishing line. This is the actual run into the finish. We'll be here in 2 full laps time, and as you can see, it is a really tricky finish here because we turn around the bend, go underneath the orange arch, and this is our Marina sprint banner. Now this is a sprint banner. Normally we use it as the finish of the 2nd lap. We then continue onwards for a warm down after that, and it looks to me like pretty much everybody all together. Let's get the drone up in the air. Now let's take a little bit of a look back and see how everybody's doing. 1 or 2 riders just being distanced by the quick pace off from the start here, and it is a tricky one to get the group together initially because it's so flat. People do put the pressure on, and as you can see, although there are plenty of people doing 1.5s, there are also plenty of people ticking along and just fighting to stay in with the main group, in with the beacon. We've also got people just joining. Looks like Andy Hall's just having a little bit of tech issues here, and Andy just trying to chase on to Chris Darby and onto the back of the bunch. So Halsey at the moment, the last of the riders kicking out 3.8 watts per kilo, 300 watts up on the top, just making contact with the back of the group. So it looks like Andy in place as he comes in and through. You can see Abby Scales is with us on the chain gang as well. The fastest rider through that little sprint section. It looks like Darryl Tatchell-Waller playing catch up. Managed to put in quite a quick sprint to get in there. Looks like Craig Herring has almost missed the boat. Fortunately jumped in and was part of the catch that's taking us away, and just keeping an eye on everyone here. It looks like Andy was far too busy taking pictures to stay in with the group, so that'll teach him to try and be David Bailey on a bike. In fact, he's now just disappeared off up the front. So big group of riders in the sense that it's blazingly sunny, it's gorgeous weather. I didn't think we'd get 5 people on the line. We've got nearer 45 people on the line, nearly 50 in fact, so plenty of you jumping on. Thank you very much for joining us here on the Chain Gang. Our riders all together as they head out onto the course, and as you can see, pretty much everybody all together as we're heading out here in France. Time to do some big thank yous. Big thank you to everybody who has joined the DCG gang, the Donny Chaingang Supporters Club for June. We have got, of course, a very busy month. Lots of goodies, lots of bits and pieces coming your direction. And we're going to be bringing you lots more discounts as well as special offers. Remember, of course, we have the Casse-Pattes Brewing Company on board, who have their brand new Pilsner for the Donny Chaingang, and remember, of course, that you get an extra discount off that if you're a member of the Donny Chaingang Sports Club, the DCG gang. Same with Oakley's, and there is a reason why I've got my Oakley hat, my Oakley's on my face, and of course the Halo t-shirt on, because all those things were absolutely essential this weekend out in the sunshine. So a massive thank you to Ian Taylor at Oakley. The shades were invaluable as always. Those were the Oakley Frogskins on the stage and in the commentary point, or whether they were the Radar EVs for riding the trails. Also the Halo wheels, absolutely superb. First time I've used them in really baking dry conditions with the Schwalbe tyres on, in conditions where the course had been packed right down hard and then dried out, so almost like a smooth concrete surface, really fast out there on the trails, and they were absolutely on rails. We all know the Buzzy free hub on a Halo is really is great, but the way that they held the corners were brilliant, and enabled me to get the most out of those berms, even though I was absolutely shattered. I have to admit, I was pretty tired. First commentary gig with 2 straight days of commentary. Now the group is just starting to break up a little bit here. You can just see our red beacon just having to tow riders back into the group here. I think Matt Chris and Chris Darby just on the way to the front of the group, and late joiners. Anyone joining slightly late tends to have a bit of work to do to get onto the back of the group. But it looks like everybody just about making the way back in. We're just heading out onto the island. If we bring up the head-up display, you can see, if we pull the map back out again, that currently on the little island, wiggling our way around the turns, more turns than there is in East Yorkshire or similar back lanes. So these guys are riding around in a very tight bunch. If we pull the map down, you can see pretty much everybody just sitting in together. 1 or 2 gaps opening up, and it's very easy to lose a wheel if you're not attentive on the way through. But the gang are going to be, there's nowhere to hide, but there's also no way to go off on the front. So just looks like Matt Crease had a bit of a dropout. Hard wire, and hard wire. Plug your router directly into the computer every single time. It cures 99.9999999999999 reoccurring percent of issues. Plug it in direct. Very rarely is it anything but that. Then kick the entire family off whatever net signal you have. We have 3 lines now into the studio. 1 running the game, 1 running the broadcast, 1 running all the monitoring of the channels of the Facebook page, of the stream, of YouTube and so on. And they are all exceedingly high speed. If you don't have that, you're adding to what it's going to try and do. So if you've got one of your nice children at home decides that they're going to jump on your internet and have a phone conversation or FaceTime their friends about how warm it was at school today, you will find that you get a dropout. So Dave Ambrose on the message board, are we stopping for ice cream? Craig Herring, get AMP Plus and Bluetooth adapters on extension cables. Yep, definitely. So if you have something like a Wahoo Kicker, and what you have is that wirelessly transmitting out to your computer, what you need to do is minimize any interruption to that. So quite literally what we tend to do here is actually put the cable right the way through across to the back wheel, where the back wheel would be, and then put the sensor in right next to it. Literally don't have it any distance apart. Makes a massive difference in how the ride is, how quick it is, and how responsive it is. The other thing to do is, of course, make sure you time the response time of any acceleration. So use your Bluetooth and use the AMP, and you can choose which of those you get. If you get dropouts even with a hardwire, then it's generally your hardware that is not up to speed. So it will be your processing power, and it will be your graphics, and it will be the speed with which the computer can actually process the information that's come from the Swift back out again, in which case you can drop the resolution down. That helps massively. However, occasionally Swift does drop out just due to the sheer volume of riders, but at the moment, looking at the analysis of the data coming through, not really the case at the moment. It is more the case that you are not connected right, because there's not enough people actually to cause a problem now. Looks like Dr. D having a dropout even though he's hardwired in. Currently sitting at 29 seconds, so Chris Darby dropping back. Looks like Keith Richardson dropping back. Neil from the Crosscast, who's made it back up from Cornwall, is dropping back as well. So Neil, who had a Cornish pasty on a Cornish beach in the Cornish sunshine, as well as trekking around the coast, now back and heading in to help out with the group, I think. And looks like Darby, Richardson and Dubash are going to be reforming. You can just see Dubash chasing. Here's Richardson, this is Darby, and if we take a little bit of a look behind them, we can just see the figure on the bridge. Well, that is Dr. D trying to chase on really hard here at the moment. So Dubash at the moment pushing hard. You see that blue pillar of light. That's sorry, the red pillar of light. Blue. Dear me, you can tell it was a long weekend. So Dr. D working hard, trying to close the gaps down. The Von 2 in the background, or Von top as it is on Zwift. And Dubash at the moment, you can see that heart rate really is starting to rocket up, 153 beats per minute. This will cost him later on in the ride because he's working really hard here now. Richardson just accelerating up so that the three of them become a smooth group together. So here they come. So three people have a chance of getting back in with the leaders. 27 seconds back from Neil. So let's jump in with Crosscast Neil, my co-host on the Crosscast podcast, and we're looking to see if we can see the riders behind. I think Neil is just dropping a little bit back here, just trying to give them something to go for. So it looks like the gang just pushing on here. Darby and Richardson just pulling the pack along. Looks like Neil just has eased off a little bit. He's just giving them something to just a little bit of a ladder to come back up. Craig Herring doing the same here. And you can see these riders, they know exactly what to do. Drop a few wheel lengths back and it will give you somebody to jump onto that then picks up the pace. So what you find is you get 3, then 4, then 5 riders in the group, and then that will enable you to pull back into the group. Daryl Tatchell-Waller, I'm sure, is going to go back. He's one of our regulars at the back of the pack helping other riders. The gap at the moment though looks like Richardson has 21 seconds to make up now, and you can just see just jumping onto the back after having done a big old turn at the front of 5 watts per kilo. So just keeping an eye on the time gaps up here. We've got to be a little bit careful because it does yo-yo about out here. So the guys at the back here doing 4-5 watts per kilo. Just keeping a check on the watts per kilo in the main group. All sitting pretty much below 2.5. Most of the riders are about the 1.8 to 2 watts, so they should be coming back. Looks like Neil from the Crosscast is about to get caught and join the gang here. So expect to see Neil's power kick up here to 7.42. Here we go. So Neil's going to sprint into the back, 7.4 watts per kilo to get back in with the trio. Not quite sure he got that timing just right. Maybe we wanted to go a little bit harder as they're getting close. So Crosscast Neil dropping back to pick up the riders. He's going to make it 4 of them. So this is going to become a group of 4. Craig Herring just dropping back. Daryl Tatchell-Waller doing the same. Looks like Craig Genther hanging around the back again, getting ready to pick up the group and pull them in to the back of the pack. So it's now Richardson, Dubash, Neil from the Crosscast, and just in front, 5 seconds in front, Craig Herring. So you can just see the pressure is on. They're working together. This is going to become 6 riders. Tatchell-Waller and co. Going to see them coming. Here they are. They're just coming up onto the wheel here of the duo of riders that have come back, and looks like Neil just leading them through. Herring and Tatchell-Waller up to 10-12 watts per kilo here to just get the pace picked up, and you can see what effect this has. You can see they're already starting to drag the way in towards the back of the pack. You get a really big group come in, and then on those last few meters, which are always the hardest, that's when you need the help. So here is Sutcliffe just starting to come back as well. Sutcliffe giving a hand and just kicking in now. So you can see Sutcliffe now kicks up at 8.5 watts per kilo, 9 watts per kilo. Callum doing the same. They're going to work the way in here. This is what we want to see. Look at this pack chasing on here. So riders dropping back to help out, getting the work out, dragging the team back in. Imagine it's one big pro team. That's how the chain gang works. Scale's going to be seeing the riders as she comes through. So looks like Scale's going to jump in with this group. and all of the pack back together again. Fantastic stuff, guys, absolutely awesome. And if we look at Dubash, that heart rate of 158, I think they're going to just push the way up towards the front to drop him off up there. That is teamwork, and that is what we want to see on the chain gang. That is how it needs to be, as all of the riders are back in together again. And just going to keep a check on the back of the pack. I think it's Pearson just rolling around the back. So the guys getting a bit of a sweat on the way through. We're now heading out of the coast and inland, and it's going to just increase a little bit if we just keep an eye on the back of this pack. Nobody wants distancing at this stage. 10k in of the 49k, 9.3 of 49k as they head in. So the group now just do a little bit of recovery after chasing on so hard. There's going to be a few puddles left and pain cave floors after that one, but the riders now making the way up this long straight alongside the river. They're going to go over the bridge and head in towards the sprint. The Pavé sprint will be coming up. That's the next big landmark, and that is a fair way out from where they are. They've still got plenty of distance, so should be plenty of time to recover as they make the way along here towards that Pavé sprint, and then in towards the first of the climbs, the Aqueduct KOM. It looks like our two beacons at the back just having a little conflab about what they're planning on doing. Derby and Downing, the two riders on the back of the group, the two beacons sat at the back of the pack. If we jump up into the sky with the helicopter at this stage, you can just see the two riders at the back of that group as they come away from the river. And looks like everybody holding it together well at the moment. The riders keeping it nice and smooth as they go through. So the group just starting to string out a little bit once again as they come down past the sunflowers here in France. The fields in the distance behind, and if anybody has ridden in France, they'll know just how realistic this is. Some of the best bits about riding on the continent are riding through the different scenery, things that you don't necessarily get here in the UK, and that's certainly what's happening here in France. We've got lots of plans lined up for the Tour de France weeks, 3 weeks of the tour, and last year we had a few specials. I'm sure a few of you will remember those. I think something similar but maybe slightly different, just to keep you all on your toes. Still seeing people heading back again. So into the sprint area we go. This is the Pavé sprint, the town that is shown on our backdrop on the title screen. Looks like the Red Beacon and a few others just coming off towards the back to sprint in and through. That pace really is picking it up. If you are dropping back to put a sprint pace on, please make sure you let the guys know, because of course the Red Beacon will drop back with you as we come down past the windmill, on top of the town hall, the main grid going underneath the gantry there. So as Neil says, we're missing the sunflowers this year, indeed. The group quickly coming all back together again. Definitely missing the sunflowers in France. They're riding on the nice warm roads, but our riders will no doubt be enjoying the scenery here, because if you can't get out on the real roads, well, do you know what? You might as well enjoy some really nice ones here on the Donny Chaingang on Zwift. Our riders working together well, and that yellow beacon just at the back of the pack, it is a little bit swift today on the front of the group, but nobody being distanced too much, so I think the beacon just patrolling from the back at the minute with about 5-6 riders at the moment. Good to see our riders just checking out that everybody is okay. We pull up the gang at the back. We're just going to take a little bit of a check through the riders. Yeah, just keeping a check. Looks like Mr. Coleman is together with the group. Chris is in there. Looks like Paul Whitelaw with a bit of an issue here. He's at the back of the group, stopped at the side of the road despite doing 2.4 watts per kilo. So it looks like an issue with Paul. There we go, drop down on the power. So it looks like issues for Whitelaw at the moment. Sat at the side of the road. Maybe he's just eating too many ice creams. Maybe it's not cooling him down. So that looks like a jam to me, just back up and riding. So Paul Whitelaw, the man from Ambleside, has been dropped big style here, right when he wouldn't want it, just coming into the aqueduct. Looks like Keith Richardson dropping back. Paul has regularly dropped back for people. He's been working really well for everybody, so hopefully a few of the riders will be heading back just to help him. Just see Richardson and Darby just dropping back a little bit. Mr. Darby, I hope you got your fast legs on. If Paul's coming back towards Punch, he's likely to be motoring. So onto the KOM. This is the climb up. We're just in with Richardson, who with his nice steady pace here, just waiting for Paul. Just keeping an eye on. Gives us a chance to look at the scenery here. The Yellow Beacon group just heading up towards the KOM. Take a little bit of a flick around the great scenery on the French world in Zwift, and I have to say it is one of the richest worlds with a lot of detail in, and some great historical features as well. Makes me happy when we see things like the big triple aqueduct bridge. So Richardson and Darby at the moment waiting for the figure of Whitehouse to come from the back. I'm loving the comment from Neil on the crosscast. He froze. Craig Heron, the money's full of ice cream. He's currently at 1 minute behind, so he's already pulled back a minute and a half. So he's going to be motoring his way back on pretty quickly, I think. Just that's a minute from Russ, and you can just see a few more people just starting to ease off here. I think Rich Orrell just hanging back a little bit. Russ is doing exactly the same, and I've got to say Paul has been consistent in waiting for people all the way through since after the very first few weeks where he was a little bit swift off the mark. He is on the way. Yeah, we don't get him sad, we'll find him covered in hundreds of thousands. That's right, he won't top himself. Exactly. That's what we want. We want a bit of humour to keep him going. Paul just kicking on here. He's Mr. Richardson, give it a boot now, mate. And Chris, he's on his way. He's at about 3 seconds and coming quick. So here we go. They can just see Paul coming. They're going to give him a bit of a tow as Paul sprints to get onto the back of them. So Paul motoring along here to get in with the rider. You can see that what's having to be kicked out by these three riders as they are pushing on here. Now they're going to try and close the gap down very quickly because they know it's going to be tough going up the hill. Looks like the internet connection was flaky. I'm absolutely loving all of the puns. I'm sure Paul will when he watches it back, like many of you watching the coverage back after the event. And of course, lots of people watching live as well. Thank you very much. However you watch, really do appreciate it, and definitely notice the difference that the Chaingang has kept me nice and fresh on the way in. Now, Whitelaw at the moment has got to be careful he doesn't drop all the people that went back and to help him. You can just see the guys pushing on. So Oral at the moment is in decent danger of being distanced here by the JC back. They're coming back pretty quick. We're just going to jump in with Russ and the gang. There's a little bit of a split just starting to open up on the front here as we come through town. Faster than a stripy rocket from Sutcliffe, loving the comments. So coming out through town, the chasing group behind are a little way behind. You can just see the red beacon and the gang just starting to come back together, so we need to get the blob back together again. A fab effort, loving it. So just see Craig Genth at the back there of the group, just behind the red beacon group. So when the red beacon group gets up with the yellow, they're not all on board. There is one more rider just off the back of that pack. It's going to take a little bit of drop back. I think Rich Oral is our rider who is chasing at the moment. Remember, guys, keep the brakes on because we've got Keith Richardson and Rich Oral who drop back now, having to make an effort to get back in with the group. So we take the camera up in the air. Rich Oral here who dropped back to help riders on with the gang. So here we go. Looks like Richardson are all together. Now they've got about 7 seconds to make up. Looks like Chris Darby and Varty at the back there, just holding back a little bit to give a bit more assistance. So Darby just dropping back as we come in towards the church here. And you can see the riders just working well here. And I think everybody's going to be back together again before we hit the climb. So Craig Genther dropping in with the red beacon gang, just a little bit further behind. Rich Oral just pushing them on. So Darby back on the back of the bus. The bus driver for tonight is Chris Darby, our red beacon. And looking pretty smooth in here. Just not all blue strip on the blue bike, deep rims. It's a tricky course to get right, the bike choice here today. You've got to play towards your strengths a little bit if you wanted to push on hard. Looks like Wallace had a bit of a drop out here, having to kick in at 6 watts per kilo, and we saw him just disappear. So Waller just pushing on the back here. Darby's going to be aware of that, and you can just see massive sprint here, in fact, by Waller just to get back in with the group. So good riding there by Waller to get himself back in with the group. So Ash Waller back in with the gang. Just taking a little bit of a look. Looks like Darryl Satchel Waller just moments in attention, or maybe he's just working his legs over a little bit further back. So time to keep it tight, time to keep it together on the climb, because we're heading up now onto the slopes of the CKOM. just jumping in with Russ, 86 beats per minute, 49 revs per minute, just ticking his way up this climb. In with Chris sitting at the back of the pack. Looks like the group all working well together. The message board nice and busy tonight. Everybody having a chat. So Chris 120 beats per minute, just sitting at the back of the group, just making sure everybody's okay. Looks like Canham pushing back into the back of the group here. Plenty of zigzags coming up on this climb. This is a petite KOM. This is the dress rehearsal for when we hit it as a part of the free-for-all that is comes after Russ gives the signal. I didn't say the words because everybody just reacted. Jumping with Martin Bolt. Martin sitting at the back of this pack, just tucked in behind Russ. So starting to string out a little bit on this group from the front to back. Well, we'll just start pushing up a little bit here, just trying to help keep those gaps closed. Our beacons at the back, just seeing the riders in front, just continue to push. That Sandy Hawes at the moment in the grey, just in front of Martin Bolt. Horsey, I think he's with Shelley Charles again today. People start talking, they spend as much time as these two do together in the same room. So looks like the group just about holding together. Just a bit of a gap back to the back of the pack, but if we take a look with the camera, not too spread out. Remember, as you go up over the top, it does go pear-shaped. Big stars, if there are any gaps between the riders. At the moment, it's looking good for the riders as they come up this climb. Don't need to say anything when it's this good. Great to see. Group together. Red and yellow beacons. Not having to do too much. Good riding, everyone. Go back to being quiet. You don't need me. Come up towards the top of the climb, time for our riders to regroup. Always an indication that we are heading into the point at which our riders need to regroup, and that is quite simply when we come alongside the memorial up here, the top of the Murray, heading up towards the very top slopes. You just start to see the gantry coming out very shortly, and that's an indication that the group needs to pull back together again. As soon as those number boards come in, any gaps at this stage are going to be exaggerated by the descent. So one right hand turn, one left hand turn, so the hairpin to the right, the slightly wider turn out to the left, and then it will level, at which point we need everybody together. Otherwise it is going to basically break up on the descent. Just looks like the Reds just pushing on the back. The guys are not going to take a KOM at this stage, quite simply because it's totally immaterial. It's all about pulling the group in. Whatever time anybody was to set now, it would be very foolish to go for it, quite simply because the riders are looking to go quicker when we come in on the final lap. That's when it's going to matter. So Russ just keeping a check on the riders at the front, just watching people's numbers, making sure nobody's being silly. Our red beacon at the back there, just making sure that our riders come back together again. We're not going to focus on the KOM numbers here because it is, as we said, basically immaterial. What is critical here is the front puts the brakes on to allow the back to regroup and to come down here as one big pack. Any gaps, we're in trouble. So let's see how our riders do, keeping an eye on this. One or two opening up between red and yellow here. This is where you really do need to push on. Looks like at least one rider with a dropout. So here we go on the descent. Looks like the red beacon, Martin Bolt just being distanced here. We're going to jump in with the back of this group because it is going to be where the trouble is going to be. Looks like Anderson is out of the game here, and if we start to work our way back a little bit here, let's look for our red beacon now. Red beacon and Martin Bolt both need to get the finger out here and give it large here. Guys, come on, time to push. If you don't push now, you will be out of the game for the rest of the ride. You've got to move now, and you've got to move hard. This is where Bolt really needs to pick the pace up because he's not going to be sat in that pack. You need the group as you come down the hill. They're going to open up the gap increasingly as the distance goes by. The longer you leave it, the harder it is to get back in with them. Look at the work being done here by Derby, 7.5 watts per kilo. They're going to pick up two more. Cannon, Taylor, time to get your figure out. Time to go now. Get ready to get picked up by this group because here they come. This is going to make it 4. This is going to give them a chance. They are going to have to really work hard. 6 seconds now, the gap between this group and the group in front, and this is where they've got to use absolutely everything. They've got Martin Bolt at the moment just being distanced a little more than 3 bike lengths, and you're in trouble. That's when you're going to lose the gap. If this group breaks up, anybody left behind from it is going to not see that leading group again. This is the only chance these riders have of getting back on with the group because this is really, really tough. They've got to really push on the pedals. all the effort now. If you don't put it in now, no point having it at the end, because this is where you're going to be distanced. We've got one rider sat in no man's land at the moment, and I think it's going to be Masoon who's just pushing in with them. If we take a look back from Masoon, you can see that red beacon. This is the gap. They have really got to push. Time to move now, guys. Come on, this is where you got to make it. You didn't miss it. It's the pace of the group at the front, Mr. Coleman. It is the sheer draft, the aerodynamics of the group. You can see people are not pushing the numbers up here. They're just sitting in with the pack. But what is happening is that the group is splitting apart. The more riders that are in that lead group, the better. And now we're up to 9 seconds now to the main group. 9 seconds to Richardson. This is the back of the main group, and this is why you've got to push. You've got to be in with that pack, and you cannot ease off until you're on that descent. And you can just see how fast these gaps have opened as the riders go over the top. This is the red beacon group. They can see the yellow beacon, but that beacon now is sitting about 20 seconds down the road. If we zoom out, the yellow just going past the pens just on the left hand side, and you can see what that gap has become here. Now let's jump in with Russ. Russ just sitting at the back of the group, just trying to bring it all together. If they don't pull it together, I don't think Russ is likely to call anything on the way through here, quite simply because the guys at the back are fighting to get back on again. And you can see these numbers. You got Bolt doing 3.5, you got Cannon doing over 3, Taylor and Darby both up nearer 5 watts per kilo here as they continue to push into town. They're trying to get back across. It's Russ who's actually sandwiched in the middle with Masoon at the moment. So the yellow and the red beacon are going to be together as we come back in. As Ted says, need a sprint from the back. You need to go from back to front if you want to put a fast time in. It's the only way to get a good time. Don't run off the front. It will basically destroy the group. Now, just taking a little bit of a look here. Cannon and Bolt just starting to be distanced. Cannon and Bolt, not Cannon and Bolt. Cannon and Bolt just starting to be distanced by the pressure being put on by Taylor and Darby, who are really working to get that group back together again. So here they come. These are the riders at the back on the way through here, and just about to make contact. May well be the red beacon. Let's have a little bit of a look. The red beacon's getting there. However, behind you can just see 2 riders distance off the front of the group, off the back of the group. There's a front. It's got a little bit of pressure going on in the front there. So just looking at the numbers, our front riders are at 0.8 watts per kilo. So they've definitely backed off on the leading riders. You should see the front compressing down. However, Bolt and gang at the moment, Bolt and Cannon it is, who are still distanced here, are going to have to push hard here. Cannon pushing onto the back of Martin Bolt. They've got 8 seconds to Downing at the moment, and 11 to the main group. That's quite simple because the yellow beacon is hanging around at the back. So let's have a little bit of a look, see can they get themselves back in to the game here. They're working really, really hard. You see probably right on the limit. 161 beats a minute for Cannon. Martin's up at 135. That's a lot for Martin at the moment. And you can just see working to try and get that group back. Cannon 147. So a little look at Russ. Even Russ's heart speed is going to be there. Look, you can just see he's just trying to keep it down, trying to keep back, trying to let these guys get back on again. So here we go, Bolt and Cannon working together. They're going to see that yellow beacon, then they're going to see the red beacon. The group at the moment up the front just needs to ease back on the pedals. So you can see as well as I can, we are at the moment quite well strung out from back to front. The front of the group needs to remember to keep that pace knocked off as they start to reform. Here we can just see Martin, Bolt and Cannon here. So Bolt and Cannon, the 2 riders at the back of this group. The front pack is starting to ease. It's not blobbed up yet. And that's what we're looking for as these riders go along the side of the coast. So it looks like Martin just losing the wheels once again. So remember guys, don't chase, you've got to let them come back to you. The riders at the back here, well, it looks like Martin doing 2.7 watts per kilo, having to really push on to try and get into the pack. So you can just see the people dropping back here. I think Craig Genther dropping back. Canham at the moment just dropping back to give a hand to Martin Bolt to pull him back on. Chris Darby, of course, our beacon, attentive as ever. Kind of doing a great job here, and looks like got Craig Genther just in front. Chris Darby working well, and the beacon's not too far together as this chasing the group with Bolt and Canham and Genther start to work their way along towards the back of the pack. This is going to be a group of 4 riders trying to close down onto the main group. You see Martin's the rider just in trouble at the back here, just see him yo-yoing. There seems to be a little bit of pressure on the front here. As we watch the riders on the back, they just about make contact, and then somebody panics on the front group, puts their feet on the pedals a little bit too hard, and opens the gap back up again. And to be honest, it's a lot of people who should know better, people who've been distanced off the back themselves fairly recently, who are sitting on the front and putting the pressure on that front group. See our yellow and red beacon groups coming through here. Martin Bolt really working his socks off there to get himself back in. Looks like Liam Ellis, who was our red beacon not all that long ago, just dropping back to help the riders get back. And see Paul Whitelaw's back here as well, helping the gang out at the back. So is Martin, Orrell, Dubash as well, Derby, and this is what it's all about. It is about keeping the group together at this stage. So I think now the group just reforming properly. It's taken some distance, folks, that's for sure. We went underneath the gantry at 23k, and that was 5k to get that back together again. Bearing in mind it's split at the top of the climb, so it's about 15k of climbing. Sorry, 15k of distance to get the group back together again. It's quite a long time. Group just reforming. Now's the time everyone needs to stay attentive. If you're near the back, make sure you push into the back of the group. It is likely to start picking up speed once again. Go on, Mr. Coleman, time to push on. Up, up, up. There we go, that's what we want to see. Get it now back together again. So just sitting on top of Abby scales here, Abby with the polka dot jerseys, the green jerseys, the orange jerseys, in fact pretty much every colour under the sun. So just watching Liam Ellis at the moment. Liam just at the back here, just on his way. Parental duties calling, and thanks Liam for being the bus driver the other week, and hopefully just get a nice spin down on your way through. So Liam dropping off the group. I'm sure we'll see Liam soon. We're going to jump back in with our red beacon, and looking like he's just set at the back of this group, the group working well together as they head towards the Von Top. Don't want to curse this and have people disappearing off, but Chris doing a great job here of that being our red beacon, and we've had a few interesting moments. We've got a little bit close a couple of times of losing people, but Liam and all the gang working hard to bring everybody back together again, and that's what we're looking for. So just seeing a couple of splits in here, and you can just see at the moment our red beacon just having to pull the yellow beacon group back in to the fold here. That's mostly because Russ has been distracted. Can't imagine he'd do a thing like that. So here we go, red beacon along with Russ and gang coming back in towards the back of the pack. I think the group in front just taking it pretty steady as it goes through. Abby Scales sitting on the back of Chris Darby. They're making the most of that draft as they come up. Scales, of course, going to be a lighter rider, and that's when it takes its toll. So okay, when it's on the uphill sections, but on the faster, flatter downhill sections, that's when it gets hard. Just seeing one or two riders just dropping back in through the group just to give them a hand, and doing that, dropping back in with the pack here. And it's all about bringing this group back into the fold once again. The chain gang working well together here. Just watching Craig Genther, that's the man in the green, just holding with Russ Downing here, and I think Abby has got Velcro gluing her to Russ's bike at the moment, and that and the red beacon, because she's riding very, very strongly here, sitting in the wheels, doing it exactly right. That's what we want to see. So the pack pretty much back together again. So the group rolling along together as we come alongside the river. We'll soon be turning right and moving away from it. So the group working well, heading up towards the pave area of the course. Everybody all together, and so the chain gang working nice and smoothly. Doesn't need me to say much when it's like this. This is what you want to see. Well-oiled machine at the moment. So we're going to go jump in with Russ. Let's see how Russ is doing. Let's see what the bear is up to. See how that heart race is going to go. Let's see if we can get a quick shout with him. Russ, how are you doing? Are you look to be ticking along nicely as a group?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been tricky there when Martin that was out the back, but you know we coaxed him back in, so. Yeah, we're all good, mate.
Excellent. It's pretty fast through the on that downhill, and the slightest gap soon opens up, doesn't it?
I think they're only just 1-2 seconds at the top, but it's over the top, innit? It gets like 10% after the banner, so you just get lost totally. Like so, you know, it's all good fun.
It is indeed. Well, we'll let you get back to it as we head in through town. Great pictures from Zwift as always. And no doubt we'll catch up with you a little later.
Just about to type something on my phone, mate.
Excellent, that's what we want to
do. Go!
Excellent stuff, this is what we want to hear. So the pressure is on the riders here. You can tell Russ is really starting to wind it up. We're going to drop Russ's mic back out again before he says something that we might regret here. He was taken out of the back. Can't imagine who'd do that to him just as he was about to call it, as he puts his foot down. The go has gone, and the go is taking effect, because you can just see as our riders head through, it really is ripping it to pieces here, and Russ having to make his way up through that group. We're going to just take a quick look back. We're not even onto the Aqueduct KOM yet, and there are bodies all over the place here. Jim Flynn's here, Martin Bolt, looks like Cannon and Sutcliffe. I hear Derby trying to get them all together into a workable group. Ted and Scales in this group up here with Scotland. Looks like Garford on the back of the main chain here. But the chain is starting to fracture. The links are starting to come apart. And behind Ian Taylor here, Andy Hawes trying to push on through the group to get back up with the gang. The mind says yes, and Dr. D's legs say, no, mate, take it easy. We know you just had the second of those jabs, so just be steady, buddy. So Chris Ball now pushing on up at the top. You can just see Simon run it here with Sean Ferron putting in the feather flags. The riders at the moment, they're not even onto the Aqueduct, and Russ called that. It's going to come around the corner. Is anybody going to go for this? Use it as a springboard to try and break clear here. And it's Whitelaw who's got the polka dot jersey. That's who was chasing on. Neil's got the reverse climb jersey, the reverse petite KOM jersey, but Russ has gone on the front, and he's using this drag strip here to tear it apart here. He wants to break this up. He's going to make it hard for everybody behind, and what a surprise, it's the ice cream man from Amble's side who's gone after him as he's put the hammer down. The gaps are opening in the group, but it's not really broken apart completely at this stage. You can just see riders in 1s and 2s being distanced off the back. So now's the time to form a mini group, as Dr. D says. Find yourself some friends, find a rider or two, get yourselves back together in a pack, and that will allow you to then be able to chase effectively now. And look at this PB after PB after PB. I am not surprised, because that was absolutely brutal up there. And I think as we work our way down through these riders, you can just see lots of people are setting their best times. Andy Hawes doing so now. Horsey being distanced by the main group. He's got Ian Taylor not all that far behind him here. Horsey setting a new PB. Taylor, Coleman, Run It setting new PBs. Rich Earl, looks like Sean Ferris doing the same. Cannon, Garfoot New personal best. Langme, look at it, it's absolutely snowing confetti here. Has Scotland got one as well? He has, David. Pretty much everybody's setting new personal best all the way up through there. I think Ted's pretty much one of the few that hasn't, and Abby Scales has set a new one. See Abby just easing off the pedals there. I'm not surprised. 55 seconds new PB by some margin. And just taking a little look, Chris has got Martin, Bolt, Cannon and Flynn behind, so I think that's going to be a group that are going to form together. They've just got to get themselves back in one group. We're just taking a little bit of a run back up the road because it's absolute carnage now. There are bodies absolutely everywhere, and after that steady start, you can see even people like Neil, Craig Herring, Taylor and Pearson now are in trouble here because they are being distanced. The pace of the group on the front here really is absolutely nailing them behind, and I think it's doing some serious damage here. Herring normally a force to be reckoned with, particularly if it turns into a sprint. Same with Neil from the Crosscast. He's normally in at least into that final climb, and at the moment just being distanced as they come through town here. They're going to have to work together, so it looks like Herring, Taylor, Neil from the Crosscast and Pearson currently in a group chasing this pack of riders. This is the leading group: Whitelaw, Genther, Downing, Varty, Daryl Tattershaw, Waller, Mason the Fat Cyclist, Shelley Charles in that leading group. Then we have Neil from the Crosscast, Taylor, Herring and Pearson. A little bit further back is the group with Massoon, Wimble, Crease, Richardson, and looks like they are working well, but they've got to try and pull back the leading yellow beacon group. You can just see it just up the road, and it must be so frustrating. You can just see on the helicopter shot, yellow beacon, one group, group two, chasing hard behind. That's the Crosscast Neil group. Then you've got group three, which is this group with Chris and Massoon in there. Group number four, a little bit further back, and we're not even onto the climb with that early call there from Russ. I think Russ must want an ice cream pretty quickly here. It really has stretched this out now. Ambrose, Samuel, Linley in there. Then it's a gap back to this group, which is the Ball, Orrell, Taylor, Hawes, Coleman's in there. I think Runner in that group as well. Then a little bit further back, Ferren just ahead of Canham, Garford, Langmead, not all that far behind Davis. I think this group with 10 in there are going to probably pick up all the way to Ferren as they work their way in towards that final climb. Our beacon group, though, well in towards those final sectors. Looks like Scales just about to get picked up, picking up the group there with Dubash in there. Derby about 21 seconds back from Scales. Farron just up the road, but we're going to work our way back up towards that yellow beacon group. Easier said than done. It has to be said, since they've just picked up Abby. That's fantastic, great stuff, mate. We are going to go in with the front of this pack. Let's get that drone flying up in front of them as it tracks them in towards the climb. You can see behind that Herring and I think Craig Herring, Neil from the Crosscast and Pearson, Taylor are not all that far behind you. Look at them, they're almost in touching distance, but we're taking that left turn now and onto the climb. Now the physical distance is going to come down, with that time gap may stay the same. So let's say who is going to go for this. This is where the pressure comes on now. So we're going to see Daryl Tattershaw Waller is going to start to put some pressure on. I think the riders are going to be looking at each other here. Who's going to stretch it out? It's Downing on the front at the moment. So Downing on the front. Then it is Tattershaw Waller in the black with the orange cap. Then it's going to be Genther in the green with Whitelaw in the orange. Varty's in the red and black with the red horizontal stripe across his back. Red and black diagonal stripes is going to be Mason in the black with the gold and white stripes. That is Shelley Charles in there. At the moment, though, the man doing the damage is Tattershaw Waller, who is up the road and he's making them all chase him at the moment. Just behind 8 seconds is Neil from the Crosscast, Pearson and Herring. They are absolutely trying to nail this, but they can't get back on terms with this group. They've been dangling at that 6 to 8 seconds. I mean, they got 1 minute 25 and they just missed that chase. They just missed the gap, and you can see them being distanced now. Now Whitelaw onto the front after chasing down Tattershaw Waller. We know he's had a drop out on the way through. The ice creams man from Amble's side, the man who is the one they all want to be on the climbs. Is he going to be able to power away from them? At the moment, Mason and Tatchell Waller on the heels here. Downing, Genther, Giles all in here. Looks like Varty just starting to pay the price of the fast pace into this. Currently sitting off the back of the pack. It's only a couple of seconds. Craig Genther though putting in a great ride here, pushing on once again, closing down the gaps, making sure that the group works well together. And Genther doing an absolutely storming job here. We can just see the red kick going in. They're letting Whitelaw do all of the work on the front. I'm not surprised, because if Whitelaw does the work, they're trying to tire him out on this climb. Looks like Charles is the next victim of the pressure here. The pace has gone up, so Varty now being distanced, Child being distanced, and they're going to see the chasing group of Herring, Pearson, Cross Castile and Taylor in touch. As you can see, Genther now on the heels of Whitelaw. Mason doing the same. Downing just on the front at the moment, making Whitelaw chase. It's Whitelaw doing the chasing here now. Is he going to go straight over the top of him? He goes and rolls right round the top, but then backs off the pace. So 5 riders together. In the orange is Whitelaw. In the grey of the Downing Cycling coaching kit, it is Russ Downing. Then in the red and black is Gareth Mason, the fat cyclist. Craig Genther is back to his best after getting those getting COVID, and Genther now again putting it on some serious afterburners to kick his way up here, as Genther continues to push to chase the leader down. Daryl Tattershaw well sitting, looks like he's holding his powder dry at the moment. I don't think he's in trouble. We know he can do bigger numbers than this, but they are all being very careful at the moment. Look at Genther. Genther is a man on a mission at the moment today. So Craig Genther yo-yoing the pace up and down, really is making it difficult to set at one pace. About halfway up the climb now, so 50% of the Petite KOM done. These are our leading 5 riders. Behind them, Varty has already shed 28 seconds, 32 seconds to Childs, and it's 36 to that chasing group. Remember, they were right on the heels of them as they came into the climb. It's all gone peaked on, and these are the 5 remaining riders. One of these 5 is going to be taking away top spot. Centre stage going to be the man across the line with his arms figuratively in the air. However, time is running out for anyone to make a break on this climb. Whitelaw on the front, being tracked by Mason. Now Tatchell Waller goes on to the heels of Whitelaw. Mason does the same, and I think Craig Genther has just dropped back. Another big kick up here from Genther. So Genther's clearly yo-yoing about on the pacing. Now Downing goes on the front, and it looks to me like Downing just stretching out the pace. 157 beats per minute. That's some big numbers. Has he just dragged Whitelaw here though? Because it looks like Mason, Daryl Tatchell Waller and Craig Genther are having to fight to hold the pace here. So it looks like all he's done is drag clear Whitelaw, and Mason really having to work to close that gap down. Tatchell Waller almost on them. Genther putting the feather power up in there as well, and you can just see having to sprint out of the saddle, putting in some seriously huge numbers here to get on turns. We've got a right turn, we've got a left turn to go, and we saw what happened to the group at the back. If you are not in the group, as you go over the top, those gaps will open, the distance will increase, the draft will drop, and Genther has to push now to get into those wheels. You can just see the numbers are yo-yoing for Genther. Downing and Whitelaw are together. I'm sure Downing's just going to let Whitelaw do all of the work here. He's going to top the climb first. He's Downing, I think, and should be taking away the KOM. But look at this, Genther has been distanced on this section of the climb here. He may get a PB, but he's not going to get the top spot. The leaders are over the top and onto the descent. It's just gone past that pedestrian crossing that is the opening up. But if Genther, Tatchell Waller and Mason can get together, they have some serious firepower between the 3 of them, and should be able to pull back the leaders. So just seeing Genther down in the super tuck, I think he's going to need to actually kick to get on to the heels of these riders. So these are the 3 chasers behind Downing. Downing is 6 seconds up the road here, and at the moment He's just sat on the heels of Whitelaw, making Whitelaw do the work behind them. Genther, Mason and Tattershaw Waller are fighting out between themselves. They need to put the pressure on. They really have to work hard here. If they don't work hard, they will be distanced by our two leaders. The way this descent is designed, it will get quicker and quicker and quicker. And at the moment, we're at 60 kph for Genther. If we take a little bit of a look at Downing's speed, Downing is at 64, 65 kph on this slope here, and they've got the gap, but Russ is sitting on the wheels, sitting on the heels of Whitelaw in the orange. You can just see the chasing riders are now at 5 seconds. They're bringing them back. It's 3 against 2, but realistically, I think this is 3 against 1. Russ sitting on the heels of Whitelaw. Whitelaw, the leader at the moment, but Downing is on here, and Russ can't give him a turn. He says he's not got anything left to do that. The climb really took it out of him on the way up, and we're just watching the time gaps showing us 10 seconds. I don't believe any of these time gaps. They are so close together. You can just see the chases on behind. We're going to try and get a view from the camera, but I think they are in danger of coming back together again here, and that is really going to change the dynamic here. So Downing at the moment playing the waiting game. Mason on his way. Genther on his way. Daryl Tattershaw Waller on his way. Tattershaw Waller with that sprinter jersey time, and put him in the green jersey as they drop down this slope. Well, it's all very well saying Gareth to win. You've got 7 seconds to make up, Mr. Tattershaw Waller, and you need to move now because you are on the flat. You have got a limited number of K. It's about 2K to the line from here, and if you don't boot it, you're going to be distanced. You can just see at the moment Downing is up the road. He's got Whitelaw with him, and at the moment it's Whitelaw who is on the front at 7.5 watts per kilo, which means he's going to be distancing them. Genther's putting another kick in here. It's still at 4 seconds. Time is running out. We're now at 1K to go. 1K to go, folks. They've got 1 more K to go. Who is going to get this? There is a matter of meters between these riders. We're riding in with Russ Downing at the moment, sitting in on Whitelaw. This 4 seconds. It's going to be about 45 to 50 meters. The difference between 1 and 2 and the chasing riders behind. Can the guys behind close this gap down? It's going to take a massive effort. We're into 500 meters to go as we hit the road junction here. 500 meters to go. It's ticking down now. Russ rolls onto the front here. This is mano a mano. This is one-on-one at the moment now. Downing has to respond to Whitelaw. The sprint is starting. There's 200 meters left to go of this course. We're in with Downing. He rolls on. He puts 1 kick in. He puts the 2nd kick in. Can he hold on? Can he hold off Whitelaw? Whitelaw sat on him. He sat on him. He sat on. He's waiting. Downing takes it. That was so close, and Russell rolls it on the line there. Genther is going to take that 3rd place. It's going to be a 3rd place for Genther. It's going to be a 4th place for Tattershaw Waller. There's going to be a 5th place for Gareth Mason. What a ride by these guys. This is the nearest riders to them. What a finish there. Downing just holding it off. It was power. Everybody opening the throttles little by little. But it was Downing who had it from Whitelaw as they came through the line. Now, these are the nearest riders to those across the line, and these are the riders who are going to be fighting it out for the next place. So nice one, Russ, making it across there. I don't think Russ has got anything left in his legs. His legs have got to be absolutely in pieces. So we have Varty in the red and black. We have Varty just starting to open it up. We've got less than 500 meters to go. We're going to hit that green banner. It's going on the right hand side. That's going to be 200 meters to go. Here we go. Varty leading at the moment. Neil from the crosscast at 200 meters comes over the top. So Neil pushes over the top. The chase is on behind them though, and look at this, it's going to be close between them. Let's take a quick look here. It's going to be Neil, I think, who's just about going to get this. It's so tight here. Crosscast Neil just takes it from Taylor. Behind them it's Varty from Pearson. Great time. There's going to be some tired legs there. Now let's take a little bit of a look here. Craig Herring on his way in here. So Craig did another great job in that DCG jersey as we see Noel coming in towards the line here. just in with him as he goes through. So it's going to be Matt Knoll, then it's going to be Greenaway being chased all the way by Shelley Charles to the line behind them. Then Massoon coming round that right hand turn. We take a little bit of a look back from Massoon, and I think Martin is only at 3 seconds, but 3 seconds is going to be enough for Massoon, who's on his way down to the line. Absolutely brutal out there today. Martin is going to come in. He's got riders behind him, but he's got the gap. Richardson, I think, is going to take the sprint here from Rob Wimble. Our camera can't even keep up with Richardson. He's going that fast. Look at this. Richardson goes through the line. He's so quick, the camera can hardly stay with him. Then it's going to be Rob Wimble and Koki. Wimble going through now. This is the Ben Koki, the sprint here. Kokin is in here, and you can just see Kokin pushing hard here to Tom Lindley's trying to go over the top. Lindley's trying to get him. It's going to be so tight between them all. Look at that. Kokin just gets it from Lindley. Then it's Ambrose, Orrell and Osman. Fantastic sprint from these guys as they came in and through. We're now in with Ian Taylor. This is Taylor versus Run It. So Taylor versus Run It versus Ball versus Samuel. Who's going to take this 4-up sprint pretty much at the moment? Ball just a little bit set back at the minute. We're riding in with Ian Taylor, the man responsible for all of those Oakleys going out to people, all those Oakley Sutras being given away courtesy of Ian at 1080, and it's Ian who just rolls it on the line there. So Ian taking that from Samuel along with Ball and Co. A little bit further back, Paul Coleman is going to be our next rider on his way into the finish, and pretty brutal stuff. He's making his way into the line. He's got a gap on Canham. I think Neil's only got enough time to just about type. Oof, really tough stuff out there. So Coleman comes through, then Canham. Oh, what a sprint from Canham here. Look at the numbers, 10 watts per kilo all the way to the line. Well, he was on his knees earlier on. He's absolutely nailed it now as he goes in. We're watching Mr. Ferrin. He's got a little bit of a gap to Andy Horse, Dubash, Scotland, Ted Scales and Garfoot pretty much all together. I think Andy's just got a little bit of a gap on them. So it's going to be Sean Ferrin who's going to be our next rider in across the line. We're going to drop back to this group here because this is going to be incredibly tight. Look at the sprint over the top there. Watching them come in there. I think Ted just taking it. Sorry, Ferrin taking it from Ted, from Scotland, from Dubash. Then it's going to be Abby Scales. Scales coming through. Great ride by Scales. Just in front there of Garfoot. Andy Hall's in through the line as well. Everybody's on the way. Really, really hot out there today. Really, really warm. Langley's making his way through. Some great riding, guys, by everybody out on the chain gang. And just waiting to see if Russ's heart rate has dropped down enough to actually be able to talk, because I know he was right on the limit there, and it definitely showed on the way in. We're going to take a little look on here. So Rusty said it's a dead heat on the sprint. Well, that's not what our screen showed. It actually showed Russ as taking it as he came in and through. And Davis is going to be our next rider into the line. Should we give Russ some good news? Why not? Now then, Russ, how are you doing?
I'm all right. I'm glad I'm not on video camera. You know, I've got my eyes shut here, just trying to bring myself round.
Well, I reckon you got it, mate. You started the sprint just in front. Your times will be exactly the same, but because you started just in front and you finished just in front, you got that.
I lunged on the line, mate, you know.
It was, yeah, you basically, I think your time will be identical because you was on your heels as you went over the green start sprint and on your heels as you came through. So that was some attack, though. It was just attack after attack after attack, and you kept on having to respond to his kicks. I mean, it was a great ride over the top there, and we were shedding riders everywhere.
Yeah, you know, it was on that last bit. I knew, and then we distanced Scariff and then someone else, and then, like I said, I wasn't joking when I couldn't give Paul a turn. I was like, all in, and then, you know, I was trying to work the kilometres out, and I was like, it's close. I think I had a truck draft, and I just needed it to ease my legs, and I was like, oops, I've used that, I might need it again in the sprint, so I just went for it. And one of them, he got back level, and then I just carried on squeezing. I think I just thought I edged out. He thought he'd got over me, and, you know, go again. But, it was great fun.
Yeah, and it must be something about the beacons today, because Chris Darby just won the three-way sprint between himself, Mr. Cannon and Mr. Bolt. So absolutely flying down there as well. Good job by Chris today. A really difficult day, I think, at the back, pulling lots of people in and lots of groups having to take a tow on the way in.
Yeah, with me and Chris helping Martin Bollard, they just got caught out. They're 2 seconds off, and Martin's just coming in now, so he's going to ride. We got him a lot deeper into the ride. If he'd not got over that climb, I was joking, he'd still been out there now, wouldn't he, Martin? But it's great effort, like everyone's saying. Smaller numbers just make for a great workout, and proved it. I don't know what my max start rate's been for a while, but I think that was pretty high tonight. I think I saw 165, which I normally see about 161, 162. The heat and probably a bit of dehydration makes that go a bit higher, but I was still going deep.
Yeah, definitely. It looked like everybody was really on the limit. Just been watching people's heart rates just skyrocket, and that thermal creep of the heart rate just rising, it just takes effect, doesn't it? And there's not a lot you can do about it, even with the best aircon, fans, ice vest. You just can't help the fact that your core is going to start heating up. So I think there's some great riding. Just watching Jim Flynn. Flynn was in that group for so long. I thought he was going to make it over in the aqueduct climb, but just distanced, and I think Jim is going to be our last rider in, but putting in a better and better performance every single time. I mean, this is a hilly ride, and this is where we do see normally big gaps open.
Yeah, we said about Jim earlier, didn't we, on the call before, we were like, Jim's improving on the hill, so he'll probably enjoy this tonight. It looks like he has. Yeah,
he's absolutely nailing this downhill. He's already into the flat run down past the Pens. As he goes past the Pens now, he's got Von Top in the background. I think this is a good way to start off what is going to be a week of warm-up for the Tour de France. We're going to have a week off from France next week, but of course then it's the start of the Tour de France, so it comes around real quick.
Yeah, we had a great 3 weeks in France last year, wasn't it, supporting Connor. He was the rider who'd gone to the Tour, so it was good. I'm not sure if we're going to have any more riders in the Tour who've been on the DCG, so we'll have to see when the selection's open, and let's get behind them and get them around France.
Yep, sounds good to me. We're going to watch Jim into the finish. In the meantime, Russ, just remains for us to say thank you to everybody on the DCG gang. Getting more memberships even today, which is fantastic. People joining the DCG gang, the Donny Chaingang Supporters Club, helping Russ and I bring you the Chain Gang, both on Zwift and, of course, live here on YouTube. So a big thank you from me, and I'm sure Russ feels the same.
Yeah, it's great. Thanks for keeping the show in the pain caves, and it's great. It's not only keeping the show on the road. You get some great benefits. You get all the links to your thing. You get discounts. You get inside tips. And all the giveaways, offers. So it's definitely worth it, to say so myself.
Yeah, definitely. It's a great way you actually save money by donating to the Donny Chaingang, which is fantastic. So thank you everybody, and great to see Jim coming through. Let Russ cool down. Go grab an ice cream, mate. It's clearly worked.
Yeah, I think that's just like to thank Paul for sending them sprinkles in the post there. So I'm literally that gun he's got on his thing, didn't it?
Yeah, I think you must have fired him out towards you out of that shotgun. So we're going to let you go, Russ, and we're just going to keep our eyes on Jim as he heads in through France. So from Russ and from myself, thanks for joining us here on the Donny Chaingang. We are going to catch you on Thursday when we come back for RGV for only the 4th time in the Chaingang. So we'll see you soon. From myself, from Russ, and from everybody, stay safe, stay cool, and thanks for watching the Donny Chaingang.
Cheers, Mark. Cheers, everyone.